Hey, Wicked Deke here. And you thought I was dead. Nope. Worse. I was spending 6 days in the lovely Midwest. Yes, Oklahoma City. Ooh. It's one of those Thanksgivings where you go and about an hour into it, all the family is gathered from everywhere, and you realize there's a reason why you all moved away. Oh, my. Oh, Turkey Demons and Chianti. Yes, definitely. Thank God there was booze. Got me through the 7 days. And a lot of my extended family, they're at that magical age, they're early 60s, some in the 70s, don't have a ton to do. And so they're watching way too much TV and way too much internet. And they're in that conspiracy phase. So it was 7 days of, wow, just amazing stuff. One of my favorites was, did you know that the Jews and the Muslims are working together to take down Donald Trump? Now, whatever you may think of Donald Trump, positive, negative, that's not really the point. The thing that interested me was that the Jews and the Muslims were working together. I was under the impression that those two groups didn't really, they really weren't working the whole synchronicity, bonding thing. No joint ventures, if you will. But apparently they are. So I imagine President Trump's mighty surprised. Oh, what else was there? Oh, God, they were so endless. The commies, of course, are trying to take down Walmart. So I was thinking like they were thinking the Chinese. But no, commies in America. I wasn't really aware we had many commies left, but apparently we do. Now, if I was a betting man, I'm thinking I'm going to slap my $50 bill down on the Walmart on that one. I'm thinking I know who's going to win that fight. And I'm not even going to get into Jerry Epstein because you would be shocked how many different people killed Jerry Epstein or were behind it or benefited from it or, oh, man, the Boy Scouts. That's all I'm going to say. The Boy Scouts. But enough about Oklahoma. Porky and the Boys. So, kind of the big development, if you're watching the Kings these days, is the Porky. The Porky is playing well. The Porky has 4 goals. He scored in the game tonight. Now, to me, the Porky reminds me of Dwight King with better hands, but he has kind of that sort of drunken skating style, where he's kind of, is he striding or is he falling over? It's hard to say. Now, his goal tonight was perfect. It was kind of a drunken yoga breakaway where he came in and, it looked like he was going to lose the puck and he's off balance. And then suddenly he's turning and coming in around one of the Ducks defenders and then kind of sashaying the other way. Is he turning or is he falling over? And next thing you know, he's in on Miller. And he does a beautiful deke. Now, the thing about Porky is, and I hate to say this, I think he has the second best hands on the Kings after Kopitar. I mean, it's shocking to watch him near the goal, isn't it? The puck gets to him and he doesn't immediately shoot it into the logo of the goalie. Is that legal? Because all other Kings players do. Trevor Lewis on that breakaway that Porky had. Can you imagine Trevor Lewis? Where do we think the puck would have ended up? How about with Toffoli? Yeah, I follow. Yeah, we all know what would happen. Right dead center in the old logo. The Porky has some nice hands. Now, the Porky to me is absolutely a blast to watch. So if you tape the game tonight, go back and rewind it and kind of fast forward slowly. Look at Porky on his shifts. Porky does something that is absolutely funnier than hell. He'll be skating along, nobody's near him, and he falls down. I don't know what's going on. I thought it was maybe just a skate, but he does it multiple times. He'll literally be just cruising along and suddenly, down he goes. It's one of the weirder things. But nonetheless, Porky was rewarded. The Ewok King giving him more ice time. And so he was out there. And, I don't know. Did you think he made that great an impression besides the goal? I mean, he almost had the goal when he stripped Miller of the puck behind the net. But, the Kings are let's be honest, they're hurting for talent, so it's not exactly a surprise to see the Ewok King move him around. After the game, the Ewok King was saying that he gave him more time because some of the veterans that the Kings count on didn't really play well, and I would agree with that. However, the interesting thing about that is I think he should be cutting their time more. There needs to be more accountability. If you look at the Flyers in Philadelphia, of course, I'm a Flyers fan. Their roster is mostly unchanged, but they're doing much better. And the reason for that is they have a new coach, Alain Vigneault, much like McClellan, a real NHL coach instead of these frauds that they had before. And he is holding people accountable. He doesn't care how much you make. He doesn't care what your name is. And if you don't produce, your ass is sitting on the bench. Perfect example of that, James Van Riemsdyk. Remember JVR? He's the big free agent a couple years ago. Everybody loved him. Sign him. Sign him. Well, JVR took the cash and ran. He had a really slow start last season before coming out at the end of the season after the games didn't mean anything. And this year, he's been downright awful. And unlike with previous Flyer coaches, Vigneault has done exactly what he should have done. Planted his ass on the bench and basically said to him, hey, when you feel like giving a crap, we'll give you more ice time. So right now, JVR is getting about 10 minutes of ice time a night. And deservedly so. We've seen guys who used to get 18 and 19 minutes a night, like Jacob Voracek, player who has some offensive skill, but rarely plays defense. Well, he's often been getting about 14 minutes a night. Now he started playing harder, and he's up to 15 or 16. We saw Giroux take the lash, and a variety of other players. Sean Gostisbehere's been benched a couple of games, scratched completely, and then he came back in the lineup, suddenly scored a goal. So Vigneault has learned to use the electric prod to get these boys going, and he's using ice time as the means to do that. Love to see Ewok King do that. And of course, the Flyers, with pretty much the same talent they've always had, suddenly they're like 15-7 or something like that. They're up in, I think, third place in their division, certainly well up in the wild card result, and they look like a much better team. Funny how that happens when everybody actually plays hard the full 200 feet. So more competition, something that the Kings would need. And if veterans are mailing it in during the evening, well, plant their ass on the bench. Couldn't hurt. But enough about that. On the farm. So what's the big news? Well, the big news out of the Ontario Reign is that there's no big news. The Gapester. The Gapester has played in all of his scheduled games. Appears to have had no health setbacks. And of course, he scored his first point, and I believe it's the last game. Not sure if it was the last game. When he did a nice little cross-seam pass to Frick, who scored the winning goal with a minute or so left. It's a nice pass. But I thought the better thing about that, if you watched the highlight, was actually not so much the pass, but after first scored, it was what Velarde did, which was turn around and start yelling at the goal's bench, and he seemed to stop just short of dropping his gloves and giving the bench the double middle finger. Which is good for two reasons. One, shows that he's feeling good. He's feeling physically good and mentally good. So that's a good sign as far as his rehab goes. And two, that he's fully engaged. You know, he's fired up. He's obviously not being hesitant. He hasn't looked hesitant at all, you know, and all the time he's been back. So that's good. So, you know, big thumbs up. When can we expect to see Gabe with the Kings? Again, I think you're going to have to wait. Gabe's, the highlights I've seen, the one full game that I watched against the Tucson Roadrunners, Schnorr and Adrian. Gabe's was not the greatest skater to begin with, and he looks slower now. Now, again, not particularly concerned because he's been back for 3 or 4 games. He's been skating only for a couple months after, you know, a year and a half or whatever. I imagine what's probably going to happen with Gabe is he'll stay with the Reign for the rest of this year, and then maybe at the end of the year, he'll come up for a cup of coffee with the Kings, you know, and see how it goes. And then I think the offseason is probably going to be devoted to, again, working on his back, but also skating. And really focusing on improving his skating. He's already made remarks about it in the interviews about he needs to work on his skating. So he's obviously, you know, aware of that. But, you know, I think the earliest you probably realistically see him compete for a spot with the Kings is next year. And, that depends kind of on his skating, if he can improve it at all. And, of course, how he's feeling, things of that sort. But generally, where we're at, thumbs up. If you asked anybody a month ago if they would take Velarde playing 3 state games with the Reign, or 3 scheduled games with the Reign, and having no health problems, we all probably would have been pretty damn happy with that. So we should be pretty happy now. And then, of course, the Fighting Badgers. I still think it's funny as hell that Wisconsin games are being shown in LA, but Fox Sports West, of course, had the Badgers. I think they were playing Michigan and Turcotte. They look pretty solid. Nothing great, but he's getting all kinds of important minutes. Granado's tossing him out there. He's definitely not hiding him. So I think that's good. I only watched half the game. I didn't get to see the whole one, but he was definitely holding his own, considering he's a true freshman. That's not bad. He's definitely physically needs some work. He's in good shape and everything, but I mean, he's just not that big of a guy. So he needs to grow just naturally and get into the weight room over the next couple of years. That probably help him a lot. But I thought generally he looked, as advertised, almost exactly a Jonathan Taves clone. I mean, if you watch him play, he's pass first, but he goes into the corners. He'll, get up on the walls. He'll fight and get into it. So he's not, kind of the, Johansson type with Nashville, where he's a diva passer type who's super soft. So all in all, I thought he looked pretty good. And again, it's just, matter of waiting. Do I think he'll be with the Kings next year? Who knows? Who knows how he develops the rest of the year? I think he could probably play there positionally, but I think much like Jack Hughes, he probably needs more time to physically mature. So I don't know if he'll be with the Kings next year or not. Maybe what happens is he stays with Wisconsin for another year, and then when the college season ends, he bumps up to the Kings or to Ontario. Not this year, next year, something like that. It's not the Kings are going anywhere fast, so it'll give him time to continue to mature. But maybe late next season, you could see the center lineup of Kopitar, Velarde, and Turcotte. And that would be much improved over what we have now. So it's time for Deke's Bitch of the Week. My bitch of the week was obvious in this game, and I don't understand what the Ewok King is doing. And the bitch of the week, of course, the Kings and all their shots. And I know I see people post and talk about they got 40 shots. Yes, they did. And who cares? Once again, a shot from the point that the goalie can see is not. It's the chances of it going in are so remote, particularly against like Ryan Miller tonight. Ryan Miller's been around for 500 years. Do you really think he's letting a shot from the point that's uncontested go in? No. I don't know why the Kings can't get somebody in front of the net. Dustin Brown used to do it. Now he kind of stands off to the side and waves at the puck as it goes by. Carter does the same thing. Iafallo. Why do they have Iafallo trying to play the front of the net? Iafallo is the guy who pushes the carriage with your luggage on it to your hotel room. He's the altar boy at church. He is not a front of the net presence, not in any world. And the answer to all of this, and it just kills me, is Grunion. This is what Grunion does. This is what Grunion is good at. Bring him up. Tell him when the puck goes into the offensive zone, you go harass the goalie. It's like the Ewok King has never watched any tape of Grunion before. With the Marlies, this is what Grunion did. With Toronto, with the Swedish team, this is what Grunion did. The answer is apparent. Stop fighting it. Dear God. How could he love Kempe so much and hate the Grunion? I think that the Ewok King has a thing for speed. I don't know. And the Jews and the Muslims are not working together to take down Donald Trump. Deke out.